all fun and games till someone gets shot.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing another video breaking down a specific aspect of the Tekken Bloodline trailer. For those of you who haven't seen my initial breakdown, go ahead and check it out. I broke down the whole thing, but now I'm starting to do videos focusing on specific aspects of the video. I did one already where I was focusing on Jun Kazama and what happened to her, everything that we know canonically in the story, and also things that Harada said on Twitter in the past about the character. So just kind of collecting a bunch of information about Jun Kazama and explaining it to get a better understanding of what could happen in Tekken 8 and also in this Bloodline series. The next video that I'm going to be working on after this one is Paul Phoenix battle with Ogre. Now this is very interesting and I'm excited to do this video, so like and subscribe for that. This video will be coming very soon as well. But today we're going to be talking about Leroy Smith. Now this whole trailer was amazing. I loved the whole thing. Now what I noticed about this trailer, super popular characters showed up in this trailer. Kazuya, one of the most popular characters in the game. Heihachi, Jin, and Jun Kazama, the stars of the Tekken series. But then you have King, which is the most popular character. He's always been top 4. And then also you have Paul Phoenix, who's also top 4, I believe. Leroy Smith, he is the newest, one of the newest characters being added to the Tekken series overall. And what's odd about Leroy Smith, seeing him in this trailer, is yes, he's an extremely popular character, and a lot of people say he's going to be in Tekken 8. Seeing him being in this show, he's definitely going to be in Tekken 8 now. But this show takes place between Tekken 2, 3, and 4. Sometime in that period, we don't know exactly how far in which direction they will stretch, but Tekken 3 for sure. So why is a character who just showed up in Tekken 7 showing up in Tekken 3 during the time of Tekken 3? Now I'm going to be explaining it because if you look at Leroy Smith, he's an old man, gray hair. He's probably older than Kazuya, probably the same age as Heihachi. So if you think about that, yes, he was just introduced as DLC, but canonically he would have been alive and active during that time span. So that's what this video is going to be about. I have some screenshots and excerpts that explains exactly what he could be doing in the story because it's very exciting. I did a video like this in the past where I was talking about Leroy Smith, but that video was more so focused on the real world connections, right? The comparisons between Leroy Smith and Ip Man, some of the real world inspirations for his martial art fighting style we see used in the game. That video is also super interesting, even though it's one of my older videos. If you guys love Leroy Smith as a character, I suggest watching that video. It will be pinned somewhere in the top right or left. You'll see it pop up eventually, but let's get into it. Now, when you talk about Leroy Smith, since he is a brand new character, he has very few connections to other characters on the roster. He likes his family and his pet Pitbull Sugar. Now they did not show Sugar in the trailer, but I'm pretty sure Sugar's gonna be walking around with him. I'm interested to see how Sugar reacts to the fights. We'll talk about who he's going to be fighting, but I want to see how engaged the dog is because in the game the dog has one attack. But when you talk about who he dislikes, the Mishima Zaibatsu gangs and Heihachi Mishima. Now, let's get into a story. It's very interesting. Nearly a half a century ago, the city of New York was overrun with countless gangs whose members numbered in the hundreds of thousands. With both police and politicians in the gangs' pockets, nobody was able to stop their rampage, and the general public was left with no choice but to try and survive the chaos. As the gangs looked to expand their control over the city, it often led to violent clashes between them, which eventually erupted into an all-out war. The streets was overtaken by gunfire, resulting in numerous casualties amongst young and old men and women alike. Explosions and deadly fire erupted through the city, the once vibrant New York, into a war-torn hellscape. Now, these first two paragraphs of Leroy Smith's story sounds exactly like what was happening in New York in probably like the 80s, early 90s, when the drug epidemic and you had all these gangs, Tookie Williams and stuff. I don't know if you guys know too much about the history of gangs in America. Bloods, the Crips, the Black Gangster Disciples, Tookie Williams, but that is what this is sort of drawing inspiration from, that era. I think that's really cool that they're drawing inspiration from that, but the way that they tweak it, I think fits Tekken 7. It says, at the time, a young boy named Leroy Smith lost his entire family to the violence. Leroy was badly injured by gunfire and fell into a river. It doesn't say how he was injured, but I wonder if he was hit in like the eye, if the bullet blinded him, who knows. But eventually getting swept out of the sea, where he was rescued by a merchant vessel who took him in. As he drifted in and out of consciousness, Leroy was angry at his own helplessness and harbored a desire for revenge against the ruthless gangs that has taken his family for him. I'm guessing that's from him. And so he left America behind and traveled the world until he came across the fighting art known as Wing Chun in the streets of Hong Kong. Leroy was fascinated by the martial arts that was designed to face multiple opponents while using superior combat expertise to render one attackers powerless. He decided to stay in Hong Kong in order to learn the mysterious fighting style. Interesting enough, in Leroy Smith trailer, I believe it was Law and Fang, but he was actually using the Wing Chun to fight off multiple people in his announcement trailers. So you kind of see Leroy Smith, yes, it seems like the story is bad for most characters, but these DLC characters look like their stories is very focused. It has a purpose. All of these minor aspects of these characters seem to be coming to life and their potential is starting to shine through, is how I would say it. Now he's in Hong Kong, he's learning how to fight. The next expert says, and this part here where it says he's training in Hong Kong, learning Wing Chun, this kind of relates back to the first video, which is why I was saying you guys should go and check it out. In that video, it's titled Bruce Lee's first student, Jesse Glover, the real Leroy Smith. Jesse Glover was also a Black American who traveled and learned Wing Chun. He also worked with Bruce Lee, that was one of his mentors. But this part of the story very heavily referenced the martial arts legend Jesse Glover. So I just thought that's cool how they're really weaving so much into Leroy Smith's story. Now this is the part where I believe this is how he will show up in the Tekken Bloodline, because here we know his origin, but what will happen now? It says, many years passed and eventually the incident in New York came to be known as the Big Apple War. That's very important. The Big Apple War. And 50 years later, although weakened compared to their peak, the gang still controlled much of the city. Upon learning this, Leroy decided to return to New York in order to avenge his family and finally free his city from the endless grip and fear of violence. Taking it upon himself, Leroy struck the gangs with extreme force, instantly crippling their power and influence. The next paragraph, this is the final paragraph of his story so far. During this time, he learned from one of the gang leaders that the current Mishima Zaibatsu was behind the large-scale rivalry of a half a century ago. Surprised at the fact that a large company currently engaged in the war that has divided the world has been behind it for such a long time. Leroy believes it is the root of all evil and decides to join the King of the Iron Fist tournament hosted by the company. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't say which tournament. It doesn't say the King of Iron Fist tournament 7. It doesn't say 3. It just says he decides to join. So this backstory we've gotten for him may not even be the backstory for Tekken 7. This may be his backstory from Tekken 3. Here's another reason why I say that. Character relationships. Sugar, his dog, his pit bull. Heihachi Mishima. He holds Heihachi responsible for the violence that took out the lives of his family long ago, as well as for the current war. Remember when I was telling you guys to remember the Big Apple War? This is why. The next part I want to read, it says, in Leroy's reveal trailer, it was said that the Big Apple War happened 50 years ago. However, this was when Jinpachi Mishima was still the head of the Mishima clan. In Leroy's full story, which was revealed later, this was changed to the less specific about a half a century ago. Heihachi took over the Mishima Corporation and renamed it the Mishima Zaibatsu 44 years before Tekken 7, and is the one Leroy Smith holds responsible for the Big Apple War. This means the war either took place after Heihachi took over and consolidated the Zaibatsu, or that Heihachi spearheaded the violence that was done under his father's tenure as head of the corporation. Now, this story we got for Leroy Smith doesn't feel like it's Tekken 7. It's not talking about Azel or Lars or any of this current discussions. It's talking about Heihachi and what happened 50 to 44 years ago. So I think he possibly will help out Jin, team up with Jin, and we already got to look at 2 other characters who are known for helping out Jin. King is one. We do not know why King is fighting Jin in the trailer, but King eventually becomes allies with Jin. Same with Paul Phoenix. He eventually becomes allies with Jin Kazama. So maybe Leroy Smith will also be another one who becomes allies with Heihachi. I think it would be really cool to see Jin go meet all of these different characters and hear how his grandfather is sort of affecting the world, right? But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think his story that we got for Tekken 7 DLC is the story for Tekken 7? Or do you think this was a secret way of them hinting at him actually being in Tekken 3 and sort of having an effect on that story as well? I think it would be really cool, and it's something that would be really amazing to see, because why else would he be in the trailer, you know? But that's just my thoughts. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm going to be breaking down other aspects of the trailer as well, so stay tuned for that. But that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.